If you did, then it was against my will, we need to discuss that.
Don't get the trigger makes on.
Well, he's got model releases.
We call this regular meeting to order. Call roll.
Mayor Querom.
Here.
Councilmember Newman.
Here.
Gomez.
Here.
McCransky.
Aye.
McCall.
Here.
Please stand and join us in pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we get started tonight. Do we have any public comments tonight? So we'll go to the approval of minutes of Commissioner Newman.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we approve the minutes from our regular council meeting on Monday, February 22nd, Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Mayor Querom.
Aye. We'll go to approval invoices and city clerk notes.
For this period, in the Department of Accounts and Finances, we have invoices totaling $32,443.78. In the Department of Streets and Public Improvements, we have invoices totaling $131,981.55. In the Department of Public Safety, we have invoices totaling $171,441.84. In the Department of Public Property and Utilities, we have invoices totaling $159,684.55, for a grand total of $495,551.72. There are all council members present have confirmed the reviews of all invoices and now are submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve the invoices as presented.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Mayor Querom.
Aye. We'll go to regular business and city clerk notes.
First item on the agenda is Resolution R-22-013. This is a resolution authorizing a lease agreement with Beau Renewables to propose a solar collection project at the closed landfill. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this lease agreement, and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Resolution R-22-013.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comments? I'll turn it over to Pete.
Yeah, we have gentlemen in the audience representing Beau Renewables, and we've asked them to kind of come and give an overview of the project and what their goal is and how we might participate in that. This is Andrew Weber, but not Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me.
Andrew, you want to just push the top button there to make sure the green light goes on, and then could be, yeah.
All right. So good evening, Andrew Weber. I'm the owner and founding member of Beau Renewables. We're a solar energy consulting company and also a developer of solar projects based out of Chicago here in Illinois. The agreement that we put in front of you is an option to lease agreement to potentially investigate the design, development, and potentially construction of an up to 5 megawatt in size solar facility on your landfill located here in town. My company Beau is working with several municipalities across the state to specifically work on building solar facilities on closed municipal landfills. Facilities are designed to be a part of the state's community solar program, specifically a subset of projects which is called community-based community solar. And in order to qualify for that, you have to demonstrate that you are bringing benefit to the community at large for the project. And in this case, that's through the revenues that come directly from the lease agreement, and also several items that we've added to the lease, including a $10,000 a year scholarship that would be the city's ability to give it out to any high school student that they choose. A $50,000 payment at the start of construction of the facility to go to the Parks and Recs Department, along with language in the lease that requires anyone who's going to be building the facility, that the construction contractor, to bid to local contractors within a 50-mile radius of town. And so the basics of the lease agreement are 3 years up front for us to have the ability to investigate and determine whether or not we're going to be able to actually construct the facility. Should we exercise our option on the agreement and then move into the lease term, it's a 30-year term of the lease once the facility is constructed from then forth. And it's a $1,500 payment per acre per year of the land that we use on top of the landfill. with an escalator for every year to account for inflation.
What goes into the investigation? Because you said it's going to take up to 3 years. What goes into that?
So, in this case, most likely it's going to be shorter term. There's a couple things that go into it. The first part is going to apply with Ameren, the local utility, to get the right to actually put our power onto the line. That study is fast-tracked under this current community solar program, so that should only be about, for us, once we're done designing the facility, 45 days. But designing the facility, we have to go out, we have to do a survey of the site. As you know, the landfill is not flat, it's kind of tiered, so we have to actually determine of potential 5 megawatts in size, what we can actually build out there and how that's going to work. It's landfill construction is a little bit different than regular construction on flat ground, as you have to, we can't penetrate the ground. We have to build everything on concrete ballast. So that process will probably take us, 3 to 6 months, something like that, to figure it out. And then we apply to the utility, and then on top of that, we have to apply to the state's program. And the state's program is put together in blocks, and those blocks are legislation still being worked out right now, but they are announced anywhere from 6 months to a year, which projects they accept during that term and which ones they don't. And so that 3-year, we could be done with all of our work in 6 months or 3 months, and we could be sitting waiting for the state to determine if our project qualifies under the guidelines that they give us.
How many communities are you working with now?
This will be our 3rd one, and we are in negotiations with, I think, another 7 or so across the state. And it's something we've been working on for about 1.5 years to, as we went through the last batch of projects getting built in the state, almost all of them were built on farm ground, and it's my company's idea that we should be building these on municipal landfills instead, which is much more benefit to everyone involved.
So you've been out to the old landfill, and it is slope, bit of a slope.
Yep.
So when you put these panels in, are they primarily to the south, geared to the south, as far as exposure?
Yeah, for the most part they'll be south facing, and the way that it works in dealing with the slope is they'll be done in rows, and each individual concrete ballast block will sit on top of a poured stone foundation, and so you have the ability to raise the individual foundations to account for slope across the site. So it's considerably more difficult in design than a regular project, but it can be done.
Would that be something where you would bring in dirt to level it? Is that something that...
It's a possibility. For the most part, we would just use stone under the individual foundations. There's really no need for us to level areas of the landfill in between where the ballast or the foundation is going to be. But if we do determine at the end of the day that it's required in order for us to get to a certain project size, that's an option. The only concerns there are that we are dealing with a landfill site, and you have to be very, very careful about what materials you're using, what construction practices. You need to make sure that the cap stays intact and that there's nothing negative happening for the city that's going to have to be remediated down the line.
So you're collecting energy? Is that what you're doing?
Yes, collecting solar energy, and it's being turned into a community solar project. And what community solar is that the energy is collected, it's put onto Ameren's system as a whole, and then individual residential or small commercial customers can buy the energy, but they don't have to be located at the site themselves. So it's community solar kind of offsets the idea that you have to put solar panels on your house, or we can put one collecting station somewhere local on Ameren's system, and then individual ratepayers can buy the rights to the power from that at a reduced rate of their current power rate with Ameren.
Is that the credits? Is that buying credits?
It's not the same as buying credits. You're actually your power bill you're paying for solar power instead of paying for wherever the rest of Ameren's power came from, whatever coal plants or else is on the system.
So there there's usually a cost with the parent company or the company that's actually hosting this, which would be Ameren. What percentage do they normally typically get for allowing the power of any company to basically sell on their grid if they are losing customers themselves that way?
Well, they're still going to be Ameren customers at the end of the day, because Ameren's going to have the rights to sell the power. So Ameren essentially buys it,
so they're buying it,
and then sells it to their customer base. But the way that the legislation, community solar, came around is it's a negotiation between ComEd and Ameren, the major power companies in the state, and the state itself. They get some benefits about being able to have some credits on people's bills to keep some of their existing power plants running, and the renewables industry gets the benefits of being able to have this program that kind of benefits the other side of people that want to see less large, centralized power plants and more distributed generation. It was a very long, tedious negotiation that hopefully ended up okay for both sides.
Yeah. A lot of legal
Yeah. Thick agreements.
Mhm.
I think the first time they negotiated, it took about 2.5 years for them to get that done between the power companies and the legislators.
Any other questions, comments from the council?
It's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, great idea.
Thanks for coming here.
Thank you very much. And we'll, the next step is after we move through and sign the agreements, we'll be back in town to start doing some of the initial due diligence, survey work, design, all of that, and happy to come and give an update.
Yeah, update would be great.
As we move throughout the process, we can come in.
Yeah, okay, great. That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the motion has been seconded. Call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Mayor Querom.
Aye. And you guys, you don't have to sit for the rest of the meeting. If you'd like to leave, exit right. Where'd you guys come from today? All the way from?
Our office is in Chicago.
Chicago.
Jordan's Gallup.
Gallup.
Appreciate you having us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good trip to Windy City.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening. Thanks again.
Okay, next on the agenda is Resolution R-22-014. This is a resolution seeking an IDOT permit in order to place barricades along Elm Place, U.S. Route 34. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this resolution, and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Resolution R-22-014.
Second.
Motion's been second. So I have a statement to read about this. Over the last month, and as recently as today, the city of Princeton has been ridiculed on social media over a serious condition of a building located at 1001 North Main Street. Regrettably, today's false social media comments from the building's owner requires a response. About 2 years ago, upon observing the condition of the building's foundation, the city paid for a structural engineer to evaluate any likelihood of collapse of the south wall of the building. The findings of the structural engineer's report was shared with the building's owner in 2020. The structural engineer believes that at some point in time, the degradation of the south wall caused it to bow. As a result of the wall bowing, a void was created under the adjoining sidewalk, causing the sidewalk to crack and fall, creating the condition where the sidewalk slopes towards the exterior wall. The bottom line, the city sidewalk did not cause the failure of the foundation, as the building's owner will have you believe. It is the reverse. The structural engineer also stated, back in 2020, that work to repair the wall should be done sooner than later. Complete wall failure in these types of cases is difficult to predict. He goes on to say, quote, "What we are seeing now is an indication that it is going to fail, and I believe that it will happen without any further noticeable warning." End of quote. The structural engineer also told us that we cannot repair the sidewalk until the foundation is repaired. To go in with a jackhammer to break up the sidewalk would be just the vibration needed for the interior wall to pop. Contrary to what the building's owner will have you believe as well, we have met with the owner of the building on a couple of occasions to define, clarify, and propose solutions to getting the building repaired. Our city manager has been working to locate grant funding for such a purpose and continues to seek other sources of funds, including financing options for the building owner to utilize. We're doing this on her behalf. Further, the city has supplied contacts for contractors so the building owner could employ competent skills for the repair, and we've done that on her behalf. The city wants the building repaired. It's been a creative and attractive destination for salon and spa services for years. Be assured the city is working with the owner and not against her. I'd like to see that reciprocated. That is why her one-sided misrepresentation of facts on social media to gain public support is so disappointing to us. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in today. This resolution that we'll be voting on is a necessary step to protect persons and property. It allows us to seek permission from IDOT to install barricades along Elm Place, which is also U.S. Route 34, and that's why the state is involved in this. It is for the protection of pedestrians and traffic in that area. These barriers, once erected, which will be very soon, possibly this week, will remain in place until the building's wall is properly repaired by its owner, at which time the city will then replace the site. That's a statement. So, any comments? Motion has been seconded. Call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCransky. McCall.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Ordinance O-22-002. This is an ordinance amending the agreement for customer-owned solar interconnection to the city electric grid. This is the second and final reading. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this ordinance, and it is submitted for disposition.
Move that we approve ordinance O-22-002.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Ordinance O-22-003. This is an ordinance amending the customer-owned solar generation net metering policy. This is the second and final reading. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this ordinance, and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve ordinance O-22-003.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Comments?
I will mention that the ordinance is written to prevent grandfathering. It's also written to have the council review the reimbursed rates on an annual basis. And thirdly, it's written to reimburse the solar generators at the wholesale rate rather than the retail rate. I just want everybody to be clear on that.
Comments? Motion has been seconded. Call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Ordinance O-22-004. This is an ordinance amending fees for video gaming terminals. This is the first reading. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this ordinance, and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we advance ordinance O-22-004 to the second reading.
Second.
Motion been seconded. Pete, you want to fill in some details?
Well, last December, the State of Illinois Gaming Board gave authorization to municipalities to raise the gaming terminal rate from $25 per year to $250 per year. And most facilities have a maximum number of terminals of 6. So the city is looking to increase revenue by raising those gaming fees.
And there's also some in the board itself. There are some areas that are blank as far as.
I left some areas blank because I was unsure how the, at this time anyway, how the video gaming statute treated those variables. It's really a matter of percentages of total income is derived from the gaming terminals in most cases, and I can't remember what the other one is here. A couple of these sections ask for us to insert the number of months that an establishment may have been in business before they're eligible to receive licensing from us. I didn't know if you wanted to discuss that a little bit. And I guess those are the only holes in here. If you wanted to put a cap on how many establishments can have video gaming terminals. That's another thing that we have to input there, but those can be corrected before the second reading, and they're somewhat secondary to the point of the ordinance. So you can open up for discussion on any of those points if you want, or any of the points in general.
If we don't want to discuss, and we can certainly discuss now, or we can, if you look at the ordinance going forward, and you have any ideas of what kind of figures you'd like to see, just send Pete Teresa an email.
Okay.
I think I'd like to entertain the idea to just table this for now until we talk about it more. Just because we can max out that, and that's for sure we should. I think that what a lot of people don't see, and I see this in business every day when I deal with, is that some of these places really depend on this as keeping them afloat during COVID, no matter what's going on. I wonder if we should maybe tier this and maybe not go straight to 250, 10 times the amount we're at. Maybe we should go to 75 or 100 this year, and then as we come out of COVID next year, look at it year to year until we get that to max out. I just know I've seen this in other communities and seen what the reaction has been from small business owners has been tough, because it while yes it comes out of the winnings, they still have to write that check. So not everybody does as good as others in some of those areas. So I'd like to entertain the idea, like I said, table it until we can discuss it further and hopefully see what everybody thinks as a whole, of course.
Do you have the figures on how much?
Yes, I think Mike has some.
Because it's a significant amount.
Yeah. So if I read this right from last year, it looks like the city brought in $206,000. Does that seem about right, Teresa? Okay.
Based on what was the gambling? What was the amount of?
Based on just shy of 51 million, looks like.
And that's in the city of Princeton. So $250 a machine doesn't seem unreasonable.
Crazy. 25 does seem low in terms of entering into this business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Mike, are you suggesting that between now and the second reading, we should...
I think we investigate it more.
Or are you saying just set this whole thing aside for a period of time?
Well,
beyond 2 weeks?
I guess the first reading means nothing to the second. The second's where we finalize it. That's fine. But I think this needs to be, and whatever everybody else's thoughts are on it too. I think it needs to be spoken about, because not seeing this before 5:30 Friday night, I haven't had a whole lot of time to really dig in.
Okay.
I think that most people, when they go out there for somebody that has a business, they think that all the money that they get out of their sales goes strictly to them as profits. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that the city also knows, even though we deal with tax-based money and fees from collecting from utilities and stuff, that you have to pay for certain expenses to be able to go ahead to have a business. And it could be in form of employees, rent if you don't own the building. And I know the rent's it's a little high, and everybody knows what happened right now with the field. It's about $4.5, $4.50. So I think as much as it seems that the increase is not a lot, it can be. I think along with Mike, that we should go into the neighborhood rather than just getting out, we can get all this money and do it all at once. I think having steps to it to be able to go ahead and do that will be less of a burden. I mean, these owners that are getting all this money, they're not getting all of it. The state gets quite a few.
So are you suggesting tiered, or are you saying no, let's just raise it?
I would say just tier. 25, that would be a small amount as well, like you mentioned. I think, 100, 75, 100, and then
ramp it up from there in years in the future.
Look at it annually.
Nobody likes to see their costs go up, I don't think, and if they can take it bit by bit, I think it might be a little easier for them to swallow, or at least.
I think it's more of a timing thing. I don't know what you guys think, but just on everything what's been going on. That's my thoughts.
It doesn't sound a lot like too much from 50 to 250, but nobody likes to see their costs go up in business at all that much. even if it is.
So Pete, when the state just said, we're raising these rates and you have the option to or not to raise it?
You just can't exceed 250.
Okay. And do we know what the response has been in other communities? Or
I don't.
Okay.
All right.
I know Peru increased to 250.
Yeah.
I don't know about other states.
Mendoza did the same.
How many places are we talking about?
There's 19 establishments, what I showed.
90 machines.
Averaging about 49 machines.
About 90 machines right now, but not all of them have 6, and they can have 6.
They can have up to 6 at $50 a year, or 25 is the lowest.
25 right now.
So does anyone know if an owner can modify the performance of these machines? If they pay out,
It's highly regulated.
Yeah, it's how they
this is a
Gaming
state
companies.
I don't think they
Well,
touch those things like that.
The state licenses, everybody touches the machine.
Okay.
So there's manufacturers, then there's terminal operators, and I can't remember all the other.
There's independent accounting agencies that actually have to.
But every one of those
monitor
tiers is
everything to
very
make sure
highly
that
regulated.
that it's fair.
So if an establishment has machines that pay out 90% of what they take in, they can't change that to 80% by opening up the door?
I think the statute actually
Right.
says that they have to pay out a minimum of 80%
Okay.
of the take.
Okay. But it's out of the control, it's not being controlled by the owner, the establishment owner.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
In fact, I think all the machines have certain types of meters, those have to be turned into the state periodically for examination.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Well, I think it's pretty easy picking $51 million. I understand how it works, but $250 a machine, and a lot of communities are going that route. I think we're pretty much coming out of COVID as it is now. But that said, with the consensus of the council, if you want to table this to discuss it further, I would entertain a motion to table. And then we can table it and then bring it back possibly as soon as our next meeting.
Right.
You know, what we can
Yeah,
do.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I second that.
All right, you have to make a motion. Make a motion to table.
Oh, a motion to table the ordinance 02200 until our next meeting.
What's the second?
Second.
Motion's been second. Call roll.
Councilmember Newman?
Aye.
Gomez?
Aye.
McCransky?
Aye.
McCall?
Aye.
Mayor Query.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is ordinance O-22-005. This is a ordinance to amend fees for garbage and recycling collection. This is the first reading. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this ordinance and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we advance ordinance O-22-005 to the second reading.
Second.
Motion has been second. I'm going to turn it over to Teresa.
As you're all aware now, we did some maneuvering with the money this year. Our revenues were better than anticipated. What that allows for the opportunity with the garbage situation is to split up some of the costs and purchase some of the expenses out of this year's budget, and I'll go through that in a second with the amendments to the budget, but also setting off some of the expenditures until next fiscal year, in fiscal year 23. However, what this will cause is, let me rephrase that, we will not have to go debt if we do it this way. If we do it this way, we'll have to implement the fee increase May 1st. What that will allow us to do is to start to collect that additional fee, and that's for garbage and recycling, everything encompassed. And then come fall time, which is when the garbage truck should be done, we could purchase our recycling totes, which you'll also see in the budget when we go through that for fiscal year 23. So what we're looking at is increasing the fee to $16 for in-city residential collection. That is garbage, recycling, and brush, which will be at least larger totes for garbage and recycling. So you'll have 2 totes if you do choose for recycling. If you are outside the city limits, that increases it to $26 per month. And we have about 20 people outside of city limits that do have our use city garbage. I was one of them. It was cheaper.
So this is obviously is really good news, what Teresa's been able to work out with this year's budget and next year's budget. Not having to take out $800,000 plus in debt is a huge plus for us. And again, that $16, that's going to be billed to everybody. Not just, we're not going to include curbside recycling, which would be every other week. Brush and garbage would be every week. And so good deal all the way around. It satisfies, I think, everybody's concerns going forward is how we are going to address this. So, any comments?
So we're moving forward, buying one truck,
2 trucks.
2 trucks, and garbage.
3,500 totes for garbage, and then we'll have to determine how many recycling ones we're going to end up needing.
We'll ask people that, we don't want to go out and buy 3,500 totes for recycling because not everybody's going to recycle. It's just the way it is. So we'll find out who wants to recycle, and we'll order those, and we'll order some extras in case more people want to come on.
Are we still looking at October for the trucks, roughly?
Hopefully. That's what they did
Who knows, right?
reiterate that sequence. So. So we do have an opportunity, and I won't get too deep into this, but with the totes for garbage, we do have an opportunity to get those at a little bit reduced rate. So that was good news today. So.
Excellent.
You said all the totes were the same size for garbage?
95s or 65s, we were warned against the 35s because they get a little bit more beat up by the machine and setting them down. So we may just want to avoid the 35s. I did talk with somebody from Wynette, and they all were given 95s. There wasn't an option, and they haven't seen any problems with the larger totes. They move around easy. They, even the elderly residents aren't having any problems with them. So, it's something we'll have to talk about on when it comes time to ordering the totes. What's the ratio of 95 to 65? I don't know.
They cost about the same.
Roughly, yeah. In the grand scheme. So.
Any further comments, questions? The motion has been seconded. Call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
Mayor Querom.
Aye.
Next item is Ordinance O-22-006. This is an ordinance amending the budget for the fiscal year commencing May 1, 2021 and ending on April 30, 2022. This is the first reading. Mayor, all council members have reviewed this ordinance, and it is submitted for disposition.
I move that we advance ordinance O-22-006 to the second reading.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Teresa.
This is why my eyes look like they're glazed over. A lot of amendments here. We had a lot of funds coming in that we weren't anticipating at the time of the budget being adopted. I'll go over a couple of them real quick, but if you have questions on any specific ones, please let me know. I will note that there are some that have kind of a small change to them, and typically I don't like to amend for a small change, but if I start to see a trend, we will amend so that the budget from year to year, we see that trend happening. Down in, let's see, we'll touch on police department first. You'll see an amendment for vehicles. What happened there is we do have an animal control person now, Amanda, which you all met, and she needed a vehicle, obviously for animal transport. And what happened was our IT person, Steven, had a smaller cargo van, which he determined is not suiting his needs. He needs a bigger van. So we did find a deal on a bigger van, and he's basically going to sell that van from electric department or IT electric to the police department for $15,000. So that was the transition. It actually works out perfect for everybody. So down under fire department, that was you'll see the $434,000. That was loan proceeds coming in for the engine. And then you'll see that down in the expenditures, same thing, that going out. You'll see a lot of the COVID grants. That is from the ARPA money, the $507,000 that came in. It originally came into admin, and then we do a transfer out to the departments that ended up using it. So you'll see that as a COVID grant revenue coming in and then being spent down. So take streets, for example. You see it coming in up there at the top for $292,224. That was being consumed under storm sewer repairs and material under streets, 804, for $282,000 coming in as an increase for Park Avenue West, right? Park Avenue West, for that big project there. That would be ARPA eligible for the stormwater mitigation there. So that helped offset a huge expense that we would have had to have absorbed somewhere. If you want to jump down to administration department, you'll see an amendment for Perry Plaza rent. I did drop that down because we have fewer tenants in that building now. Down further under administration for expenses, I do have a Perry Plaza expenditure amendment, a significant amendment. That is for roof repair. We do feel we need to get that roof repaired ASAP because of the condition of it, and it needs to get done after a certain degree. So because of the revenues from sales tax and stuff this year, we feel it's our responsibility to get that taken care of. So we will try to get that done ASAP, as I said. Tourism, you see an amendment there. We budgeted 120 as we have for the past couple years. Right now we're at 100. We're at if we keep coming in the way we are, we'll be at roughly 151,000 for tourism there, which then does amend a couple of other items in the tourism budget, mainly capital projects. Water department, you'll see another COVID grant expenditure, mostly for a lot of the water projects. Those are COVID eligible for the ARPA funds. So the meters, you'll see them in this budget. We committed $100,000 towards meter replacement, and that's the whole computerized system that's hands-off, a lot easier to read. And then in the fiscal year 23, you'll see the same one in there, $100,000 for those meters. That's a much overdue project that could have been a fee that was going to be transferred on to the residents that were able to help offset some of that cost. Wastewater, same thing, another COVID grant in there. Transfers out, you'll see a lot of those. Some of those got adjusted because there was not a need to make that transfer from electric, being one of the departments that transfers funds out to other departments because of the funds that were coming into general, into admin. So I tried to do some adjustments there to make that a little less burdensome on the electric department. Let's see here. Okay, garbage, you'll start to see some of the adjustments there. You'll see a transfer in of $235,000, and that will cover their totes. So that's your tote expenditure, which I'm hoping is going to be closer to maybe $80,000 less than that. So that'll be great. Transfer out, you'll see that adjustment there for the vehicles. Actually, the transfer out, there was going to be a transfer out to cemetery, because there normally is. For $149, I decided to keep that in garbage so that we could put that down towards the truck. So the trucks, both of the trucks. We should have $200,000 to put down for both of the trucks, which is well more than the third. So. Over on economic development, we talked about video gaming. There's a significant amendment there from what was budgeted, $145,000 to $220,000. And again, just a change in the transfer in that's typically coming from electric. Didn't need to come in from electric because it was being covered by the video gaming. So, any questions? There's a lot there. It was a good year for extra federal funds coming in, state funds coming in, but it does really wreak havoc on the budget. So,
Yeah, well, thanks for all your work on it. I know it's been a challenge. You've been working hard on it, and appreciate it.
Well, plus we're trying to figure out with the garbage, so that changed a lot of different things.
Now
So.
you can finish the budget for next year. Any comments?
Great job, Teresa, thank you.
Okay, so the motion has been seconded. So call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
Mayor Querom.
Aye. And I'll go to city manager report.
As always, you have your pension report. This is for fire December 21. And then you also have your December 22 monthly financial report for the city. A couple highlights there that I'll make note of. Payment in lieu of taxes and transfers out have not occurred during this financial report here, so some of these are going to look a little bit off. The transfers will cause the spending levels within those departments to level out. So they're going to be off a little bit. Highlight of this one again, I think you want to see page 8, or not page 8, sure, yes, page 8, is your sales tax revenue. Lauterbach actually pointed this out because they were shocked by this last year and noted the sales tax has been the highest over the last couple of years. This year has been the highest for the last few years, actually. And then I saw January 2022's sales tax numbers, and that's probably your November time frame of what's being collected. So, again, it's up almost over 50,000 more than last year at this time, so that's significant. Hotel motel goes along with what we just did an amendment for this year's budget. It's up still, so that's a good trend in that direction. That's really all I need to point out on that. I did want to point out on page 14. First time I'm really starting to see a big impact, and we talk about the debt all the time. But we started out the fiscal year with over $26 million in debt, and we're down about 21, 22, somewhere in there. So that's good. It's nice to see that chipping away.
Any comments? Any questions from the council? Okay, I just got 2 items on mine. First thing I have is a proclamation. April 11, 2022 marks the 54th anniversary of the passage of the U.S. Fair Housing Law, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 as amended, which enunciated a national policy of fair housing without regard to race, color, creed, national origin, sex, familial status, and handicap, and encourages fair housing opportunities for all citizens. The City of Princeton, as well as the Illini Valley Association of Realtors, are committed to highlight the fair housing law by continuing to address discrimination in our community, to support programs that will educate the public about the right to equal housing opportunities, and to plan partnership efforts with other organizations to help assure every American of their right to fair housing. Now, therefore, the City of Princeton do hereby resolve that April 2022, being Fair Housing Month, began a year-long commemoration of the U.S. Fair Housing Law, and urge all citizens to wholeheartedly recognize this celebration throughout the year. There's one other item I just want to bring up. We've had, as Teresa mentioned, we've had a good year. We've had some additional monies left over in our capital tourism fund. So what we've done is we have bought white lights, or we've ordered them, white lights. They're like the lights you see lining the buildings of Main Street during Christmas. And these lights are going to be put on the trees in the South Business District hopefully before they bloom. And those lights will be permanent. They will not come off, and they will be lit year-round. They'll be lit at different hours of the day. For instance, during the summer, 5 or 6 until p.m. until maybe midnight or 1 in the morning. Christmas season, as usual, everybody wants the lights on 24/7, and that'll be the case. Also thinking about doing lighting the lights along the top of the building as well, I think, was what we kind of discussed as well. The colored lights that were on the trees in the South End Business District, they were going to go across the street here in Veterans Park, and they will be put in all the bushes surrounding that park across the street for the Christmas lighting. And so just it'll be add a real nice ambiance. We always talk about ambiance to our South End Business District. It'll tie into the current walkway. It'll tie into Columbus Street when that's done. It'll be a very nice experience having those trees or those lights, trees lit. Any old business tonight?
I got one question. Tricia, do we have any update on the depot grant that we applied for?
No update yet.
Okay.
Nothing yet.
Is it imminent, or we have a while to wait?
Yeah.
Well, they said 90 days, so,
Oh, okay.
which was closed out January 10th, so.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So they're on schedule.
Any other old business? Any new business?
I guess I should have mentioned during my report, I wrote it down to remind everybody, but actually our next council meeting should actually be the budget planning session at 5 p.m. if we stay on schedule.
And then the council meeting at 7.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Any public comment? This should be on.
Close enough, Geraldine.
Oh, I think there is a light. Geraldine Woodley, a reminder, if you're going to have recycling, you're going to have to re-educate people that boxes will have to be broken up and put in your containers. And please remind them what should be recycled.
Thank you. We will do that. Any other public comment? Can I entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move that we adjourn our regular meeting this evening and reconvene Monday, March 21st, 2022 for a preliminary 5 p.m. budget meeting, it sounds like, and then followed by a 7 p.m. council meeting in the city.
Motion has been second. Call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
Petransky.
Aye.
McCall. Mayor Querem.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned, and thank you all for attending.